Hello, my name is Andy and I am the village idiot, and I'm on with a car and a GoPro and an unhealthy amount of time on my hands. Welcome back to the East Riding of Yorkshire. Now, the last 4 videos that you've seen in the East Riding of Yorkshire have all been filmed on the same day, and that day is today. This is the 5th one I've done today, and you'll have noticed, if you've watched all of them, how the weather has altered a little bit. It was nice bright blue sky at one point, but now it's a murky grey colour. Never mind. And it's very dark as well. Would you believe it's only 2 o'clock? It's very dark and it's only 2 o'clock, but that's life in Britain in the winter. I'm afraid that's what happens. Okay, right, where am I today? I am in a very nice village. It's actually made of 2 parts, 2 separate settlements. You've got the main settlement, which is where I am now, and then a smaller one which is linked to this to the south. This is the parish of Ellerton. Ellerton is a quiet and out-of-the-way village in the East Riding of Yorkshire, right on the edge of the River Derwent's floodplains. Approximately 8 miles northwest of Aughton and 8 miles southwest of Pocklington, you can find it to the west of the B1228. According to an information board you can find at this pond at its eastern end, the Domesday Book recorded it as Elreton, meaning Alder Farm. So we've got a map here so I can show you exactly where I'm about to walk. So I'm here at the pond, which is right there where my finger is on the junction of these 2 roads. Now I'm going to walk down this main street to here. That's a very important building just there. We'll talk some more about that in a bit. And then walk back along this road back to where I began. And then I'll take the car down this lane to Aughton, which is the other village within this parish. Right, let's stop sharking about it and let's get on with it. This pond is known as the Weirs and has been an ever-present feature of Ellerton since the 19th century. Historically, it was a pond used to wash horses' hooves. Despite that, it's had some recent restoration work carried out in 2018, and there's a separate board to tell you all about that around the other side. There's also a nice little sundial here too, and it seems like a peaceful enough part of Ellerton, somewhere you could just while the hours away watching the world go by. In truth, the whole village seems like that. Ellerton's location in the lower Derwent Valley means it's very much one of those places that you purposely drive to, rather than just pass through. The parish includes Aughton and has done since 1935, when the former civil parishes of Ellerton, Priory and Aughton were abolished and merged into one. Ellerton may be the parish name, but its council is referred to as Ellerton and Aughton Parish Council. Ellerton Village Hall was once the schoolhouse for the village. It's now a focal point for village events and functions. The hall has some regular bookings such as the Wednesday Club, yoga and bingo and whist nights. The Boot and Shoe Inn is the oldest surviving building in Ellerton. Until recently it had a thatched roof. It has a low beamed ceiling, so if you're calling in, you need to mind your head. The village hasn't grown an awful lot in the last 10 years. At the 2011 census, the parish had a population of 388, a slight increase on the 2001 figure of 355. In 1823, Ellerton, which was then in the wapentake of Harthill, contained a Methodist chapel. I believe this building to be the chapel in question, dating from 1811. If you so desired on a nice day, which by this time this day wasn't, you could walk to Aughton from here via a footpath. Probably a little muddy though at this time of year. 19th century village occupations included 10 farmers, a corn miller, a tailor and a shopkeeper. Like so many other villages here in this part of the East Riding, once a week a carrier operated between the village and York. These days it's still very much an agricultural village, with farming still being the dominant industrial activity out here. There are only 4 farms left now in Ellerton, and these are Town Farm, Fall Farm, West End Farm and Priory Farm. There's no book exchange in the village, but the village hall has a mini library located in a porter cabin in the village hall garden. An interesting slice of parish history tells us that apparently a Viking longboat was found here, although it's unclear as to whether it was found in Ellerton or Aughton. A cannonball was once found in the grounds of Rose Cottage, and the most recent find was in 2010 when mortar fragments were found suggesting the presence of buildings, possibly belonging to our next major landmark. The parish church of St Mary next, which is situated right at the very western end of the village overlooking the Derwent floodplains. Completely rebuilt by architect John Loughborough Pearson in 1848, this was designated as a Grade 2 listed building in 1966 and is now recorded in the National Heritage List for England. A priory of canons of the Gilbertine order existed at Ellerton, which was known as Ellerton Priory, and this church is built on its site. The priory had land in Abbeygarth too, on the western side of the churchyard. The priory was founded before 1212 and relinquished in December 1536 under the suppression of the monasteries. The site of the priory is now a scheduled ancient monument. By 1966, the church was in dire need of restoration and on the verge of collapse. It's since been saved by the Ellerton Church Preservation Trust. You can walk alongside these floodplains to Aughton. In fact, it's even known as the Riverside Walk by the Ellerton and Aughton locals. The information board back at the weirs suggests calling into the Boot and Shoe if you attempt it afterwards for some well-earned refreshment. Of course, we're close to water, so there's no surprise there's a pumping station close by on Back Lane. TVI isn't just about finding the nice stuff. For many years, Ellerton consisted of farms both to the north and south of Main Street. All the eye could see were fields. That was until the 1970s when new houses began to be built. That influx of houses means Ellerton's demographic looks like this in modern times. At 98.7% white British, it has a population density of 19.68, one of the lowest in the area, covering as it does 18.25 square kilometres. A lot of that area is given over to the floodplains. The average house here is worth a very costly £658,000. So as you see, not a very big one, Ellerton, but of course we still have to go to Aughton. So the camera's going on the dashboard now, and we'll drive down to Aughton and catch the rest of Ellerton, which, if you look at the pond over there behind my car, is the road to the right. I'll be driving down towards Aughton to catch what's down there, and then we'll have a look at Aughton Village, and we're pretty much done with this one. So yeah, let's go. Now we come to Aughton, which is a former civil parish, now of course in the parish of Ellerton. In 1931 this place had a population of 100. All Saints Church in Aughton is located at the very far end of the village, and it too overlooks the vast expanses of the floodplains of the River Derwent. It's tucked away and can only be accessed on foot through a small gate and field adjacent to Aughton Hall, which is the white building away to our left here. An historic church, this is famous for its association with Robert Aske, leader of the insurgents in the Pilgrimage of Grace in October 1536. Aske was executed for treason in July 1537. On the way to the church, we passed this mound on the right. We'll get to that shortly because this is something else of very interesting historical note. The church displays a mixture of architectural designs as it's been altered throughout the years, but it's noted especially for its Norman arch between the chancel and nave. The churchyard is interesting too. Aside from the brilliant views of the Derwent, you might find some interesting structures in here, like this cairn in the gateway. Standing in the churchyard and looking up at the tower, which was rebuilt by Christopher Aske sometime after 1536, a shield with 6 quarterings can be seen engraved on the outside wall. Also on the tower is a benchmark of the time, and carved in sunk relief is a newt or salamander, otherwise known in Old English as an ask. Here's a better shot of Aughton Hall as we leave the churchyard behind and head back towards the village. To the north of the church, that mound is what survives of a Motte and Bailey castle that's been scheduled under the Ancient Monuments and Archaeological Areas Act 1979 as an ancient monument. Back into the village, and here's the other end of that footpath we came across in Ellerton. It leads to this part of Aughton, and the two villages are linked together in many ways, it seems. Like Ellerton, Aughton is mentioned as far back as the Domesday Book too. It also seems to have been mentioned in 800 AD as Aughton, a Viking name meaning oak tree farm. Despite always being small, Aughton used to have a school. In 1892 it catered for 20 children. However, there's no record available to show when it shut down. It's good to see that small rural communities like Aughton still have emergency life-saving equipment in the form of this defibrillator. We see loads of them, don't we? But yeah, it's good to see the really tiny places have one as well. You never know when you're going to need one. Right, I don't know what I'm going to put into the picture bit today, guys, because this one's quite small, but I'll find something. Here it comes right now. And there you go, people. That is the parish of Ellerton, including the hamlet of Aughton. And I'm done for the day. 5 villages I've done today, 5 parishes I've done today, more than 5 villages. And yeah, I hope you've enjoyed these over the past 5 weeks. Don't forget, there's more East Riding coming your way every Saturday throughout the year at 2:30. But for now, I've been Andy, otherwise known as the Village Idiot, and this has been the parish of Ellerton, and I'm out.